Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 1026, 1026, Monday, January 27th, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, we got some news to cover today, and also we'll pick the winner of the Dumbass of the Week. So let's go ahead and get to the first story. It was comes to us from Gateway Pundit from yesterday, and the story tells us that there are 3 House impeachment managers who voted against aid to Ukraine. Nadler, Jeffries, and Lofgren all voted against aid to Ukraine. Boy, you talk about hypocrisy. Man, oh man, we just keep seeing it time and time and time again. Here they are, wanting to impeach Trump for supposedly withholding aid to Ukraine, when in fact, not only during the entire time that Obama was president did they never have any interest in providing that aid to Ukraine. Here, they're trying to impeach Trump for it, when in fact, Nadler, Jeffries, and Lofgren, 3 of the impeachment managers, themselves voted against the aid package to Ukraine. Not only that, but Nadler actually voted against the NDA that also included aid to Ukraine. Oh my goodness gracious, man, you cannot make this stuff up. I don't know if Trump's lawyers are aware of that, but they probably are now, because now it's being reported all over the internet. So they probably know it now, and hopefully they'll bring that up in the next tomorrow or Tuesday when they do their next round of arguments. So that is just absolutely, I mean, this is one of them ones it's total faceplant. When you read a story like this, it's like, this can't be. I mean, this is how hypocritical these people are. This is how bad. This is how bad these people suck. Okay? If you ever had any thought in your mind that there might just be a little bit of true believer in any of these people about what they're doing, this should pretty much take care of that. There's 0% credibility or principle involved in anything these people are doing other than just get Trump. That is it. I mean, there you go. 3 of the House impeachment managers voted against aid to Ukraine. Nadler, Jeffries, and Lofgren. Oh my goodness. Now, we have another story that came out yesterday telling us that the Rotten Reverend Clinton and Huma Abedin were up at the Sundance Film Festival, where they were doing a pre-screening of her film that's going to come out on Hulu here in a couple of months. And the reporting that the Rotten Reverend and Huma left before they even they got there, they took some pictures, did this, did that, but they left before they even started showing the film. And I guess they can't figure out why. Well, let me give you my ideas on why they probably left. First of all, the people who attend the Sundance Film Festival, I mean, that is the Michael Moore crowd. That is the far left progressive crowd. Okay? And the far left progressive crowd, they're Bernie bros. I mean, Michael Moore is a hardcore Bernie bro. He's not that big of a fan of Hillary, in case you haven't noticed. So I can imagine that the Rotten Reverend Clinton shows up there with Huma and probably runs into all these Bernie bros, including Michael Moore. And I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Moore would come up to her and say, I don't think it's very nice that you're saying those things about Bernie. Now, she probably didn't want to be sitting there in the theater at the time that she's on the big screen ripping Bernie a new one. At the same time, she just doesn't go after Bernie in this film. She even takes a slight and a shot at his supporters, suggesting that they're a bunch of dupes or fools falling for his commie propaganda. So my guess is she didn't want to be sitting there in the audience with all these Bernie bros who have probably already given her the cold shoulder, and have her on the screen not only bad-mouthing Bernie, their hero, in addition to calling out them as being a bunch of fools and dupes for following him. So my guess is that's why her and Huma got out of there pretty quickly. They realized that they weren't that popular. They weren't that popular up there at Sundance, where the Bernie bros hang out. And again, as I've said many times before, the Rotten Reverend Clinton has the worst political instincts of anyone you'll probably ever run across in your life in politics. I mean, she has 0 political instincts. The fact that she would even go there, I mean, doesn't she know the crowd that runs around up there at Sundance? Total Bernie bro crowd up there. But anyway, my guess is she didn't find a whole lot of love up there in Canada. So there you go, the Rotten Reverend. We have Trump, Maria Bartiromo on Sunday morning. Again, she was talking about the Spygate thing and the investigation, and Trump told her, he said, yes, I think this went all the way up to the top. Obama himself, I think, had to know. And of course, I think that's obvious to anyone at this point that certainly Obama had to know at the very least what was going on. And I'm certain that he had to be fully in support of it, endorsing it, or it would have stopped. He would have put a stop to it, but he didn't. Yes, I do believe that when Durham finishes his investigation and starts indicting people, I don't know that he'll go so far as to indict Obama, not so much because of Obama himself, but the office of the presidency. They try to protect that. Now, I would have no, I certainly believe it's possible and likely, actually, that Durham will go all the way up to, say, Attorney General, FBI Director, DNI, that level. But I think he'll, maybe even probably National Security Advisor like Susan Rice. But I think he'll probably stop shy of the president himself. Obama will probably not face an indictment, but his reputation will be destroyed. His legacy will be destroyed forever. He will be the first president to have presided over the end of the peaceful transition of power in the country, and his reputation will be destroyed. But I think he'll probably get away, but he won't be charged with crimes, but his reputation, his legacy, completely destroyed. But I believe there's people all the way up to as high as cabinet level officials could certainly be facing prosecution. And Trump seems to be, his demeanor in answering the question, he seems to be very calm and confident about Barr and Durham actually getting to the bottom of it and seeing that justice is done. And I kind of have the same feeling about it, only because when I look at the way Durham's conducting the investigation, he's looking at, he's turning over the same rocks I would turn over. He's looking at the same things I would look at. If you've looked at followed his investigation like I have, if I was trying to get to the bottom of it and I was serious about it, I would be doing exactly what Durham has been doing. I would have gone to Europe. I would have talked to the Italians, talked to the Ukrainians, talked to the Brits, talked to the Australians. I would be looking at Halper in that Office of Net Assessment. I would be following the money. I certainly would have asked for all of Brennan's communications. He's doing all the things that you would do if you're really looking to get to the bottom of things. And so I kind of share Trump's opinion that Barr and Durham will take care of business, and I feel pretty good about it. We just have to be patient. But yeah, I feel pretty good about it, and I think Trump does too at this time. And I have no reason to question at this point. When I do, I'll tell you. But at this point, I feel pretty good about the way things are going in that direction. Yeah, and also something I've mentioned before, you can impeach a president after he's left office. And you remember, Durham will probably be finishing up his work sometime in the late spring, summer of 2016 or 2020. There'll be a lot of fallout for months to come as the court cases are lined up. And, I think most of these people are going to cop pleas. I don't think most of them are going to fight the charge. Most of them are going to try to cop a plea, I think. But I think it'll still be lingering on for months and months, probably even through and beyond the 2020 election. But mostly we're going to know what happened. And we're going to know that Obama was, at the very least, knew what was going on. And I would not be the least bit surprised, because I do believe the Republicans will probably take the House in 2020. And if they do, I would not be the least bit surprised if they do impeach Obama. Yes, they can impeach Obama. They absolutely can. And then, of course, I watched this clip of Upchuck Todd, and I thought he was going to cry. I thought he was going to cry. So he's quoting this story, talking about how he's so heartbroken about this story that was written by Maureen Dowd, where she says that nobody seems to care about the impeachment. And she says it's the saddest thing ever. Yeah, and Upchuck Todd was about to cry over this story because it's true. And he had 3 people on his panel, and he tells them, this story that Maureen Dowd wrote, saying that nobody cares about impeachment and it's the saddest thing ever, and he's, looks like he's about to cry. They're all echoing the same thing, saying, We're in Iowa and New Hampshire following the campaign, and we're sitting in these town halls, and people were just not even talking about it. They're not bringing it up. They're not talking about it. They don't seem to care. No one seems to care. The gallery is more than half empty. That's something, I mean, during Nixon and Clinton, the gallery was packed. It was wall-to-wall TV coverage. People were glued to it. This impeachment's different. The gallery's practically empty. CBS stopped their coverage like on the first day. The ratings for the stations that did stay tuned to it, the ratings are basically totally tanked. No one really cares because everybody knows how it's going to end. And everyone knows it's a political stunt. So then I go over and I look at CNN, and then there you have Zoe Lofgren, one of the 3 House managers that actually voted against the foreign aid to Ukraine. She literally admits on CNN that the entire impeachment hoax is all about the election, because she says she's asked about why in the House they didn't go to court to get these other witnesses, and she said, "Oh well, if we went to court, it could have taken months and months and months. In fact, we probably would have been past the 2020 election by the time all the court challenges were done, and by that point, it's a moot point." Why would it be a moot point? If the point is to follow the legal process to complete the removal of Trump from office through impeachment, then the date of the election shouldn't have anything to do with it. But the reason that the date of the election has everything to do with it is because they know that they have no case, that they're not going to get Trump impeached. They would probably lose the court challenges, and in the end, the election would happen, and this would still be going on. In other words, the whole point of the exercise was to do damage to Trump before the 2020 election. That's essentially what she said, which shouldn't surprise anybody, because we already know that. These are some lying, despicable bastards that we're dealing with here. And then I'm watching another network. I can't remember which one this was, but it's another network. There's a journalist there who's been covering the campaign on the ground in Iowa. And she says the exact same thing. She says she's in Iowa every day, all day, talking to people, going to campaign speeches, watching all the candidates. She says no one in Iowa is talking about impeachment. They're not talking about it in Iowa or New Hampshire or anywhere else. No one really cares because everyone knows it's a hoax, a political stunt, and you know how it's going to end. We had Dershowitz on Sunday morning over there with Chris Ratboy Wallace on Fox. And as hard as Ratboy Wallace tried to tangle up and trip up Dershowitz, and as hard as he tried to get Dershowitz to try to see, Ratboy Wallace despises Trump, and he wants desperately for Trump to be removed from office. And so he was trying every possible twist he could to try to throw his legal jargon at Dershowitz, to get Dershowitz tripped up, to get him to admit that Trump should be impeached or removed from office. And of course, Dershowitz just chewed him up and spit him out. It wasn't even hard. And he kept going back to the old clips. You can tell Wallace probably spent hours looking at old clips of the Clinton impeachment and kept trying to use that against Dershowitz. But Dershowitz was on the other side at that time. And so, and if Dershowitz was now on the other side, he would be arguing for the other side. That's what lawyers do. They can argue it either way. And that's pretty much what Dershowitz explained. Now, we have this story that broke late in the evening on Sunday. Boy, what perfect timing. What perfect timing. This story that says in the New York Times that in this book that John Bolton is writing, in the manuscript of the book that Bolton is writing, he is going to say that Ukrainian aid was tied to an investigation into Biden and Burisma. Now, New York Times has not seen the transcript. They're citing an anonymous source for this. And the timing, you just have to look at the timing. They tried to drop the Parnas thing on us last week. Well, they realized pretty quickly that the Parnas thing that they tried to drop on Thursday or Friday, hoping it would get the weekend play and there would be all the talk on Monday, that got blown up within 24 hours. So their next last ditch is to drop this on a Sunday evening so that it can be used on Monday morning as a reason to try to persuade these 3 Republicans to vote for witnesses, because they want to bring in Bolton. Now, it's pretty sure that Trump will cite, executive privilege, in which case this thing goes to court, and then you get a delay. Now, I don't know if that means that you have to stop all the proceedings and wait for that court ruling, or if you can go ahead and say, okay, well, while we're waiting on that witness, we'll go ahead and have the other witnesses, such as the whistleblower, Chalupa, the Bidens, and that sort of thing. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to play out, but here you can see clear coordination between the media and the Democrats. This is clearly a plot. They have no actual source. We don't know that John Bolton said that. This is, how many times has the New York Times or Washington Post told us about a story, an anonymous source of something that turned out to be false? And as much as I don't like John Bolton, and I don't like John Bolton, the walrus, I think I don't know that he's at the point where he would want to deliver testimony that would feed the Democrats, because Bolton doesn't like the Democrats either. It's not like he likes the Democrats. He probably has a problem with Trump. Trump fired him. He probably is bitter about that. But he certainly doesn't like the Democrats and does not want to see them in power. I can promise you that. And I'm not so sure that he would want to get himself blackballed, because if he did come out and say something like that, or even if it's in his book, he's going to lose a lot of friends. I mean, he will be amongst Republican circles. Bolton will find himself over there with Bill Kristol, persona non grata. And I don't know if he wants to go there, because he probably still thinks he has a future in government, working in the State Department or being a Secretary of Defense or something like that. I think that that's in his mind, So I would be surprised. I doubt if this is true, but even if it is true, it's still not, it's still not an impeachable offense. But you can see that the Dems are doing anything they can, grasping at straws, and all they're really trying to do right now is do one of two things: either hurt certain Republican senators' chances of re-election in 2020, or they're trying to pull the Murkowski Mitwit gang over onto their side to get witnesses. And I'm not so sure why they're doing that. I think Trump would be successful in exerting executive privilege, and the main 2 guys they want to hear from, Bolton and Mulvaney, I think he would be able to block them from getting their testimony, but that would open the door for all these other witnesses that he probably would get enough votes for to get, like the whistleblower, possibly Chalupa, Hunter Biden, people like that. So it's a very, very risky move for the Democrats. As I said a couple of days ago, I think the best thing the Democrats could do, if they're wise, would be to let this thing end as quickly as possible and let it go away. Yeah, they're going to look bad. They're going to be embarrassed, but it's better than the risk they're taking by having possibly Hunter Biden, Chalupa, the whistleblower, be brought in to testify. They'll do far more damage to the Democrats and to the Ukraine hoax story than Bolton would, I think. Even if they get Bolton. If they get Bolton, Trump's going to challenge it. It will go to the courts, and it may be past the 2020 election before that ruling is even made. So anyway, I don't understand the strategy, or other than it's, again, just a Hail Mary. The Democrats never stop. They've always got another trick up their sleeve, and they have their allies in the media to help them. And that's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this is, and I think that most people will be able to see this clearly. Okay, so let's go ahead and review the dumbass of the week. Well, I'm happy to report before we even get started that Pelosi, the 4-week-in-a-row winning streak is over for Madam Botox. She still collected quite a few votes, but she got smoked by this week's winner of Dumbass of the Week. Let's read them off. Okay, so we have Lee. He went with Schiff, Graham, and Nadler. American Pie. He went with the people who thought that eating bat soup was a good idea. Keith Fellows. Schiff, Nadler, and Graham. Linda Martin went with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Madame Botox, and Graham. Rose Quartz. She went with the Bug-Eyed Fool. Susan Lowell, the Bug-Eyed Fool. Kimberly Smith, the Bug-Eyed Fool. Stage Door Johnny. He went with Schiff, the Penguin, and Lindsey Graham. Sherman Lynn went with the Schiff Show. Sane Environmentalist. He went with Schiff. Youngblood. He thinks it's a tie between Schiff and Nadler. Ricky Ricardo went with the House Managers. Gordon went with Schiff and Nadler. Oregon Outback. The Voters of Burbank. That would be Adam Schiff's. That would be Adam Schiff's home voting district, Burbank, California, which I think also includes West Hollywood, if I'm not mistaken. Linda Davis. She's going to go poetically, of course. Had to be poetically. We always get a poem from Linda, and they're quite good, by the way. Quite good. Linda Davis. Schiff. Lori Holt went with the Bug-Eyed Fool, the Penguin, and Chuck the Cuck. Mary Willis went with Susan Wocha What's It. I'm not sure I know who she's talking about. I'm a little confused. I'm thinking maybe Susan Collins, but I'm not sure. But anyway, that's who Mary voted for. Thanks, Mary. I'm not sure who you're talking about here. But then again, I've got this head cold still, and so my brain's not exactly functioning 100%. Birdwell went with the Dim House Managers. Michael went with the Bug-Eyed Fool, the Penguin, and Lindsey Graham. You notice Lindsey Graham's doing quite well. Net went with Lindsey Graham and the Southern District of New York. Jamie and Zavino went with the Bug-Eyed Fool, the Penguin, and Graham. Mark Tezak went with Willard. John Wan, he's going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool. Chris Bacon is going to go with Graham. Joey D is going to go with Graham and the Rotten Reverend. Kimmy is going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Graham, and the Penguin. Media Speaks will go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, the Penguin, and Pelosi Galore. Yes. Peter James is going to go with Graham, Pelosi Galore, and the Bug-Eyed Fool. Well done, Peter. Those are 3 solid picks. Greg Woolery is going to go with the House Managers, Pelosi Galore, and the Right Reverend Clinton. Thomas Archer is going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool. Dennis Waddell, the Bug-Eyed Fool. Gene Alley will go with the House Managers that voted against Ukraine aid. Yes, indeed, the story we just covered earlier, along with the Bug-Eyed Fool and Graham. Robin Williams is going to go with Schiff and Madame Botox Galore. Jonathan Cassidy will go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Jason Crow, and Nadler the Penguin. Leslie is going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool and Graham. Cards will go with Schiff, the Bug-Eyed Fool. Jeanette Bateman is going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool, the Penguin, Graham, and Bernie Bros. The Bernie Bros who probably ran Hillary out of the Sundance Film Festival. Iowa Stormy Deplorable Bot will go with Obama, the Bug-Eyed Fool, and Pelosi Galore. Mrs. Miggins, Pelosi Galore. Miss Tree, Mary Louise Kelly. Now, if you don't know who Mary Louise Kelly is, she is an NPR fake news reporter, and she is the one who got caught up in the controversy this week with Mike Pompeo. She claims dropped a bunch of F-bombs on her and told her to point out where Ukraine is on a map. She claims she did. Pompeo claims, I guess, that she could not find it on a map. So there's a little backstory to that. Ronnie DeMasters is going to go with the Bug-Eyed Fool. Jonathan Cassidy will go with the Penguin. Zero Tolerance will go with the Bug-Eyed Fool. Michael Vaughn will go with the Bug-Eyed Fool. And Sue Sung will go with the Bug-Eyed Fool. So you heard 3 names come up a lot. 4 names really came up a lot here this week. Obviously the most common one, almost everybody is one of their picks went with the Bug-Eyed Fool, Adam Schiff. A lot of people went with Graham. And, of course, we had a lot of Penguin, Jerry Nadlers, and a lot of Madame Botox galore. But it looks like the top 3 vote getters, and, of course, Schiff winning with, geez, he had 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31 votes. Man, he kicked ass. He doubled. He got more than the second and third place finishers combined. So the Bug-Eyed Fool, Adam Schiff, well-deserved, I might say, well-deserved, becomes the Dumbass of the Week, breaks Pelosi Galore's chain of 4 consecutive victories. The Bug-Eyed Fool winning Dumbass of the Week overwhelmingly. Number 2, Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, by one vote, defeating Nadler, who comes in third. Jerry Nadler and Pelosi coming in a little bit behind that. So there we go. Schiff, Graham, and Nadler. Those are your dumbasses of the week. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you for tuning in. We're back tomorrow with more TowerGate, and hopefully I'll feel a little better and sound a little better. I actually don't feel too bad. You know, Wednesday and Thursday were really tough days, like at work. It was busy days, and you know how when you're really sick, you don't have very much energy. So I had to really push myself at work on Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, we got done early, and we all got out of there pretty much early, and it wasn't too bad of a day. Slept in on Saturday and Sunday. I actually feel better. Saturday and Sunday, I feel better, but I still don't sound very good. I sound like I'm still pretty damn sick, but it's really just all my head cold. This is really all I have right now. I mean, I feel fine. It just, I don't sound so good. But anyway, hopefully, and it usually takes me about a week or 2 to finally get fully rid of a cold, so I'm probably going to have the sniffles for another week or so. But anyway, I feel okay. Thanks, everybody, for your well wishes, and I'll see you on the next TowerGate video. See you guys. Bye.